Good morning everyone, Carol here at Oak House Journals. Lovely to have you with me as always. So I'm going to do the next challenge in Lisbeth Degn's Stitched Circles Show Challenge of 2025. Now I'm just referring to it as the Dogma Embroidery Challenge for ease, so please don't let that confuse you. If the challenge is new to you, there's a link in the description box to Lisbeth's YouTube channel and you can find out all the information there about the challenge. So the Dogma rules for this week are to use a watercolour paper circle, so watercolour paper coloured in a lighter shade than the threads we're using, to draw a pattern on a smaller circle of graph paper and then transfer it to the larger watercolour paper circle by pricking holes. So here I'm just creating the design on some graph paper, and because the stitches that we've got to use, the third rule, are straight stitches, all my lines are straight, as you can see. So the fourth Dogma rule is to use a thread colour of choice, but it has to be in different shades of the same colour and different thicknesses. So here I've drawn out my design onto some graph paper, and I will be cutting that out in just 1 second. So this is just a close-up of the design that I've drawn, and where the dots are, that is where I'm going to be creating my holes. So there you go, I've just chopped out my graph paper design. This is my watercolour paper that I've just coloured with some tea. So I'm trying to show you there the difference in colour because the graph paper was white. And as I mentioned, the graph paper circle has to be smaller than the watercolour paper circle. So that's what I'm showing there. So the next shot you're going to see is me punching the design through from the template, the graph paper template. So I'm punching through using a needle, so effectively transferring my design from the graph paper through to the watercolour paper below. Once the design is transferred onto the watercolour paper below, or the watercolour circle, I'll be using those holes as a guide so that I know where to stitch. It all sounds pretty complicated, but actually when you break it down it really isn't. So here I am, just working my way around the design, punching holes. These are the 3 threads I've chosen, and the rule was that the thread colour could be of choice, but they had to be different shades of the same colour. So this is my first darker shade, and as you can see I've got 4 strands of thread, and I've started stitching my design using those 4 strands of darker thread. And this is where I've completed all the stitching that I'm going to do on my watercolour circle in that darker thread. Here I've gone for my next colour, which is DMC 783 stranded floss, and I've got 3 strands of that. And here I've partially stitched my design in the second colour, and you'll see a shot in a moment of how the complete design in that second colour looks, and that's what you're seeing on screen now. So I used 4 strands of thread for my first colour and 3 strands for my second colour. So here's my last thread, 3820, and I actually used 2 strands of thread for this one. And this is my whole design stitched now. Just a very, very simple design on that watercolour circle. And there's my pattern paper, or my template on the graph paper, and my completely stitched design. And here I've mounted it just onto a scrap of fabric inside my journal, just so that it will stand out and pop a little. So thanks everybody for watching, and I hope you'll join me next week for week 6 of this challenge. Until then, bye bye now.